How much survival does the average Brit have? Have you ever had the nagging feeling in the back of your head that if one thing goes wrong, a weird noise in the car engine, a letter from the landlord, your whole month is ruined? That's not a money problem. It's an anxiety baseline. I hate that word, anxiety, but it exists because your safety net is either too thin or non-existent. Today we're looking into one of the UK's financial resilience reports. I've got the 2026 data from the FCA Financial Conduct Authority and the Money and Pension Service. It's interesting reading. We're going to find out how many months of survival the person next to you actually has. And I'm going to show you why a safety net is actually the best investment you'll ever make. The life jacket. There is a life jacket, and we need to consider this. I had a good look through this. I was trying to figure out, So let's think about this in relative terms. So Ben and Maya. Ben is a freelancer. He's over there. He earns 5k a month. He's doing all right. He's rich on paper, but he spends it like it comes. Maya earns £2,800 a month. Office job, standard admin, average on paper, but she spent 2 years building a £9,000 life jacket. Ben thinks Maya is boring, and Maya thinks Ben is 1 week away from disaster. Last month, both of them faced the exact same Black Swan event, and the industry saw a 30-day tech outage that stopped all payments. It's possible it can happen. Remember what happened to Jaguar Land Rover? They had like a massive hack or something, and they were taken out for a long time. A lot of people got pulled into that. So depending on which one you are, Ben or Maya, one of them didn't even notice. The other is currently selling their furniture. We'll look into the numbers in a second, but I wanted to look at the deep dive into the resilience rankings. So the FCA Financial Lives 2025-2026 Survey and Money and Pensions Service. So the latest 2026 figures show a startling gap. 1 in 4 UK adults still have less than £100 in savings. They're living with like a 0-day buffer. So this is becoming very common. There's a couple of levels to this. You've got a danger zone, you've got a buffer zone, and then you've got, let's make a fortress. Let's have a look at each of these. Looking at the data, we'd see the scale. So less than 1 month of expenses is 40% of the UK. And they sit here. So we got level 1 danger zone. 40% of the UK sits here. Less than 1 month of expenses. That's like one bill paid. I need to be paid salary before I can hit the next bill. It's not their fault. It's just how things are at the moment. It can be difficult to get out of that cycle. What about level 2, the buffer area? So if we want to have 1 to 3 months of expenses, how many of these are there? So this is a national average for those who actually save. So if you got a bit of savings, you're in between the 1 and 3 months of expenses. So something goes bad, you're all right between 1 month, 2 months, 3 months is pushing it. But if you've got a fortress, apparently 6 months is a good bet. So only 15% of the UK reaches this level. So 15% have 6 months plus. If something goes down for 6 months, that's a serious thing to worry about. If you have 3 months of survival tucked away, you aren't just okay, you're statistically more secure than 75% of the UK population. So 3 months, if you use that as a area, how far away are you from that number? We'll have a deep dive in this. So what about the cost of a crisis? What do we mean by crisis? It doesn't have to be like you lose your job. We've got loads of things going on at the moment. I was looking at the AA Automobile Association's repair index. It's like a home serve maintenance report. 2026. What does an emergency actually cost in 2026? A major car repair now. So say something happens to the car and you go into the garage. £650 is the number. That was quite worrying to me. I could probably sell my car for £650. I wouldn't do a repair for that amount. A boiler replacement, £2,800. I think that's a bit low. I think it's more than that. I remember having a little bit of work done to the boiler, and that cost, what was it? About £1,000, I think, easily, with a couple of parts and repair. Yeah. And a new boiler is about £1,800, isn't it? Okay, yeah, so maybe that sounds about right. Depending on where you are, obviously. What about if something goes wrong with the pet? Max has some disaster, emergency vet, £400 plus. Any one of those things happen. And then if you're in the danger zone, 1 month worth of expenses, we're going to be in a serious problem, aren't we? Because that's 40% of the UK sitting there. If you're between 1 and 3 months, you might be all right for 2 months. So the challenge here is the survival burn rate. So I want to calculate your survival number. Let's have a look at that. This isn't what you spend now. It's what you need to stay alive. Rent, mortgage, groceries, utilities, like any minimum debt payments. Roughly in your head, consider it. Because if you're in this situation, it's nice to know the number. Just so you know how deep in the hole you are if money stops coming in. So let's do that. Take that number. Let's use an example. What would be good? About £1,200, maybe £1,500. Take that number and multiply it by 3. So 15 times 3, 4,500. It's quite a lot of money in it. If your fund is less than 1,000, you aren't protected against a boiler. So this boiler is a big one, isn't it? So if you've got that number now, that's your level 1 goal. If you have that, you're good. You're kind of like classed as having a frictionless life. If you don't, every decision you make is governed by fear, basically. How far away from your number are you? Remember, 1 to 3 months expenses, 6 months plus, and less than 1 month expenses. Where do you sit there? Just think about that for a second. That's interesting. Now, this also is a bit of a brain space area now, because I want you to calculate that number, but think about it, because the cognitive load, sometimes having that thought in your head just wears you, right? Not everybody likes thinking about money and expenses and what happens if I have an expense bill. Studies from the Money and Pension Service show that people with even £500 in savings score higher on well-being tests. So if you have a bit of money, you feel better. That's good. But those tests were based on higher salaries. So anybody on a higher salary with £0 saved weren't doing as well in those surveys. So I could be earning 100 grand and not have savings. I'll be in a worse position for well-being tests. But if I had £500 and a low salary, I'm like, okay, you know what, I've got something there. Because the emergency fund buys brain space. You stop scanning for like emergencies and tests and threats, and you start looking for opportunities. If you got a bit of money there, you're like, okay, you know what, I'm not living check to check, but getting there is a hard bit. I did a separate episode before about savings and goals and things that might help you if you're in that situation. Have a look back on the show notes, zulftalks.com. Scroll down a bit. I've got like old show notes. You can watch that season particularly. So I think we can look at like an emergency fund isn't lazy money. It's because it's not earning 10% interest. It's insurance for sanity. So you got a bit of money there. It's the permission to take risks in your career because you know you won't starve if they don't pay you and something happens badly. Remember Maya, we were speaking at the start of the episode there, with her £9,000 life jacket, used that over 30-day outage to take part in like a course and level up her skills. So she was off work, but she did some of the stuff. She was calm. She wasn't relaxed. But guess what? Ben, the higher earner, spent 30 days in panic, mate, taking out high interest payday loans. Like when you have to pay for stuff and you ain't got the money, there's limited options there. And now those are costing him over £500 a month in interest for the next year. He's now working twice as hard just to stand still. Your life jacket does not have to be massive amounts of money. Just keep you afloat. It gives you like the confidence to work it out, swim a bit further as it were. Don't worry about being rich. until you're secure. Inflation proof your mind, mate, then your wallet. I'm Zulf, and this is part of my money scorecard series. Well done, you have made it to this episode, and we are right now working our way through episode 7. I've done a number of these episodes. I'm working through these because I think it's important. We look at what's out there. Things are changing. We can't compare what used to happen years ago. Things are more expensive. Just how can we stay afloat? How can we think about it differently? The next one I'm going to look at is a few reports that talk about the debt comparison. So how much money do people actually owe? And I want to deep dive into that. We're going to be looking into that. What's one question you're stuck on right now? Contact me on zulftalks.com. You could drop me a message on Insta or email me there. If you want, you could even put your answer below this episode in the comment section. I read through every single one and it helps me shape the shows. So it'll be good to hear from you. It would be really good if you can leave a review wherever you're listening to this. The show resources are available at zulftalks.com. You can also sign up to the mailing list there, which will allow you to get information to help you on your journey working for yourself.
Working for yourself, I know you love it. Working for yourself, 'cause I love it too. Working for yourself, Zulf talks about it, making it easy for you. Working for yourself, go be your own boss. Working for yourself, Zulf will help you along. Working for yourself, powered by trusted creators, zulftalks.com.